More bridge fishing, man. Well, I think you're gonna learn a lot if you're really detail oriented. I'm really gonna focus on making these bridge videos count and be different. Because I did one with the Gulp shrimp, one with the Gulp minnow. They're pretty different days. Today, you know, to keep mixing it up, we're going along that theme. I think I want to stick with unscented profiles. And we'll see what kind of day that brings. I'm gonna use a little bit larger profiles, probably some 4 and 5 inch jerk shads. I've also put a little bit heavier leader on because last time I came here, I hooked a tarpon. It is 1 week later since that last video, but I have matched up a similar tide cycle. So this way, kind of the things are a little bit more even. So we're gonna have the end of the incoming tide or rising tide coming into this bridge. And then we'll get the switch. And really the main goals here are, try to match up those conditions from that other video. And then see what the scent does. You know, does it make a difference? I've got some heavier leader. If I jump one tarpon, I will switch over and try to see what else we can do. So, nice high pressure, a little bit different conditions. So, but let's get you in that view. I think that's the right view. Let's just start effing around, man. Do this every day. Honestly, I've been on these windy days where I really won't plan a big trip. This is kind of what I've been doing. I've been just stopping, fishing on the bridges, learning. I mean, the amount of time on the water I've gotten in this Florida Keys trip has been invaluable in the sense that, like these bridges, there's a little bit of routine to them, right? You're gonna catch a snapper and a jack, but they're loaded with surprises. They've got a lot of different types of fish that are harder to catch. So, I don't know. I can't imagine this is as entertaining as I can get, because I think the fishing here is decent enough that we're staying pretty engaged. But there's enough techniques to refine and learn and build upon here that this is, even these last 2 unedited trips on these bridges, or 3 of them, I don't know how many I have now, but all these unedited trips, man, I've been focusing on such a narrow technique or 2. Got a little bite under there. And, got him. That's on a 4-inch zoom, 5-inch zoom fluke. No scent. Yeah, and that's really what it is. And they're not really going for big fish catches or anything like that, so I think they're real good for that. And what's the first bite? What is it? What is it? It's a jack. Yeah. Awesome. So, get ready. We might be in for a full day of crevalle fishing. We'll find out at the end of this. Like, all right, kids, boys and girls, don't leave home without your scented baits, especially you want to go catch some snappers. So all you're going to catch are jacks. And I'm not going to put any Procure on it, nothing like that. So I think this will be as good of an experiment as we can get, as a fishing experiment. So I got some Zoom flukes. I've got a couple of the Z-Man jerk shads. I think they have scent on them out of the packaging, but man, those jerk shads are 5 years old. I'm not too concerned. This is I think this is a Z-Man jig head. Current's pretty strong. We've got a month of wind or so. Man, I usually come out here to the Keys in December, and it's usually pretty cooperative, man. This year it's been like, whoa. I think I've been able to get out into the Atlantic 1 or 2 days only. And I'm usually on like 4 or 5, maybe 6. Even along the beach is a waste of time right now. It's just so windy, and then it's churned up. Like, to even just go like a half mile is pretty much impossible. Other years I've been able to go, 2 miles out, no issues. At least a couple of nice windows most days. So really a different game this year. I guess we could do an unedited with the slow pitch or metal lures too. I think that'd be interesting. And I guess the last one would probably be a paddle tail, right? Because then I want to focus on the Zoom flukes, or split tails, whatever you want to call them. that's what we're doing right now. We're wearing out the jack population for the more serious anglers so far. But yeah, those are the things that are in my brain right now. Is what's in my brain? It's all gone. But yeah, the paddle tail would be the next one, right? Just to see what kind of different days they provide. That Gulp shrimp trip, man, I thought it was really an impressive day of fishing. Like, that would have been one of the days that and, you know, one of the more recent edited videos I did. I thought those were kind of unique, so I don't know. Saw one of those eagle rays behind me. This bridge is all about 10 feet. There's a couple of deeper holes, I think, but there's about 4 or 5 bridges that are around this depth. This one I do like sometimes because it's got a really nice couple of land masses to make it more fishable than the other ones. I mean, there's one other bridge that fishes really well in a strong northeast wind. Like, these are good for that strong northeast winter wind. Now, I've tried like some of the mangrove stuff, and they have fish in them, and I wouldn't say I did terrible in them. I would say that, you know, I caught some fish in those mangrove areas, but I don't think it was as entertaining as I was hoping for. Like, I reviewed it, and it's like I caught like 2-3 nice snappers, maybe a couple of smaller snooks, and like some small barracudas. It was cool, but I think there's a lot more going on these bridges, and, you know, just besides the entertaining part of it. Yeah, I don't know. You could learn. Okay, I think we're gonna move on. On to the next one. A couple jack bites here, and that's it so far. I'm working with a 1/4 ounce jig head right now. The water's murky. Next piling over. What should we do here? Let's make one more cast. Out into like no man's land there. There's a fish. Jacks though. I have to go to heavier jig head already. Feel that current pumping pretty good. All right, let's go over the next set of pilings. Love me these Zoom flukes here, though. They seem to be really a killer bait. Not using a tie on a different jig head though. Those mushroom jig heads, they're so-so. I kind of like them too. They kind of dart in a funnier way. I think Tim's barefoot jigs with that eye up a little bit further on the jig is better for casting jigging like this. Gives more hop. This one gives you more of that. It's a different action where you put the eye on a jig head. So if you don't pay attention to the jig heads too much, like for example, that jig head there has got the eye pretty far back. That really creates a totally different action for the most part. Apparently an action that'll catch a lot more fish than we're seeing at this time. All right, let's go over the next piling. A couple jacks there, nothing else. Water's real chalky. Man, that's got to be a valuable thing to see too, is when you're fishing and kind of, this looks like, you know, what was that blue medication you had growing up? Was it Mylanta? It was like this, like sick blue, like a sickly blue color. I think it was either Mylanta or I don't know. one of these stomach medications. That's what this water looks like. I don't know how it looks on camera. It's about a foot I've got, I'd say, my visibility. Yeah, 1 foot. That's what a month of wind does here. Seems like a month of wind also makes this current real fast. Yeah, not going to be able to back up out of this one properly. I think it's that piling that gives me that cross current here. Kind of jacks it up what I'm trying to do. That being said, there is still a pretty good window for these fish to sit and chill. Okay. Missed him. I like this shallow bridge jigging though. It is a little easier on you than the deeper bridges. The deep bridges are cool, but shallow ones have a unique charm to them too. Come on, zoom, fluke. This is a larger profile too, so we might be in for a tougher day going to that bigger profile also. But we might see something cooler doing that. Snook, tarpon. Wow, it's pretty bizarre. I'm not getting too many bites. Something there. Let's try one more thing then, before we move on to the next pilot. I had no bites there. I think maybe one on my first cast though. I'm not too sure. Let me try just a pure white. It's a Z-Man jerk shad. Could be a color thing, right? Especially with this dirtier water. Might need that strong white to stand out a little better for these fish. Not too sure. Oh, doesn't seem like it's color. Just switched up to white. No new developments, my friends. I don't know, by hour 2, I might be a believer in Procure and Gulp. We might not even make it the full 4 hours with unscented. Based on this start, like, let's give it a go though. We gotta really put the time into to find fish. You know, there's been cold nights, winds of 30 knots plus, dirty water. You know, it might not be the same every single day, and that's probably ideal, honestly. I'm still marking fish around here though. It's very possible they're using different areas, like it could be out here a little more. It might be a good idea to not commit to identical routine. It's my last cast here. Although I did mark fish here, so we got that going for us. All right, just like that. Next piling set over, man. Is unscented gonna be a doozy? Ooh, it could be. 9:30. Well, we'll fish till about 1:30 or so, a little bit before that. 1:20. Supposed to get some rain again this afternoon. We're getting some afternoon rain. Imagine 1 or 2 fish would stack up here. Maybe not. Alrighty. Oh man. Oh, this current's ripping here. I don't know if you can tell how fast I'm moving. The drift is better here though. It's not coming across. It's definitely more towards the bridge, so I think I can figure out how to set up here at least. Maybe. I bet there's good numbers of blacktip sharks on this bridge too right now. Boy, oh boy, I'm eating some humble pie right now. Oh, got a bite. Something small. Is it a fish? It is. I don't think we're going to see this one. I think this Daiwa Fuego is going to disintegrate on me. What could this be that we want to see? Wasn't a hit there. I think I picked him up. This could be one of those eagle rays. That's not that. That's a different eagle ray. It's not the one I hooked. I know that. Yeah, let's give it a minute. I really don't want to commit too long to this. I'm thinking this is going to be a stingray of sorts. My stupid watch is having a hard time figuring out what's going on, just like me. I'm gonna give this 3 or 4 minutes. See if it's a shark, stingray. I mean, that's really my 3-4 options in my brain, but every now and then you get humbled, but it's got a lot of weight. So I'm thinking this is a stingray. And probably the best thing we can do for this fish is break them off. You know, like if you don't want to damage it too much. They got some pretty big wings, man. So I think a lot of people end up hooking these things. Dude, this thing's heavy. Tiger shark? I'm not winning this, man. There's no way. Now it is freaking donking me now. Is that the word I'm gonna use? Donking? All right. Said I'll give it 3 minutes, and I think I did just now. Yeah, we gotta break you off, man. It's one of these stingrays, I think. It's gotta be. I haven't hooked too many of them. I actually haven't hooked too many of those things. It's gonna be hard to break off, actually. Okay, good. You know, it's like to torture it. I get it. You want to see it, but I think I just have a little bit enough experience knowing that that's either going to be a shark, or I think that's going to be a stingray, man. We got our leader back, and if it's one of those eagle rays, you know, I don't know if they're a nuisance. Like in the Chesapeake Bay, there's cownose rays and parts of the Northeast, absolutely considered a nuisance. You know, the eagle ray, I'm not too sure. I'm guessing it could be. There's other rays, don't get me wrong, but that's going to be a long time on rod and reel. And if we put a hook in a bull shark just now, it's probably a good thing for most locals. You know, why did I say that? You know, there's quite a few of those bull sharks around here and don't have the best reputation, right? They're pretty. Let's see what other jigs we got here. These Z-Man, all these fuddy-duddy Z-Mans. All right. Yeah, a lot of those things have pretty bad reputation. Those bull sharks too. So it's a good chance I landed my jig on one too. That's another fish I could have. What kind of weight do I want? I think I want to go up to 3/8 of an ounce, man. It feels like I might need that. The other thing I'm doing is I'm using 30-pound test, which is, I think, a little heavier than I might normally use for a project like this. Fishing like this. But really that main reason being, you know, 30 pound, I should be able to, if it's a 40-inch tarpon, I got a shot at it. So that's my logic here. I'm pretty much not going to let go of these pedals, I think, for most of this trip. Feels like this tide is stronger than the full moon tide I had. Let's go 3/8 of an ounce. I think let's get to an area where the current's not as severe either. Pretty strong in a couple of these little tubes. I don't know, what would you do? You hook one of those, man? I guess, you know, if you've never seen one, you want to see it, right? I've seen enough. So I wouldn't say I'm that salty, but I think I just know when it's time to break them off sometimes. So, a lot of these features are really nice. Tying with 30, it's, you know, really get a little bit more resistance. I hope putting on 30 is not going to be the big mistake of my day too, because I really want to get some of these fish to the kayak. Yeah. But we'll have a lot of good observations about, you know, scent, what fish. You know, as of right now, my preconceived notions, stuff like flounder, what is it? Drum. Scent's really important for a lot of fish. Because you got to see what kind of day you have without it too. There's a jack, I bet. Paddle our way out. Jacks are back. These guys are gonna go through my Zoom Flukes, man, pretty quickly. If anyone knows where I could buy Zoom Flukes in the Florida Keys, please let me know. You know, they're pretty standard and common bait, but it'd be hard to find, right? Seems like it. Well, I got these too. You ever use one of these things? Popular lure in the Northeast. Let's give one of these a try too, see how they do. The Albi stack. I think you can rig this on a jig head. I've had a lot of this stuff laying around. I just haven't used it in a really long time. Yeah, it looks like it'll rig just fine. Kind of like my whiptails. It's a little bit shorter of a profile. I would still consider it a jerk shad. Popular false albacore lure. Some fish down here. Oh man, I don't know. Switching off the Zoom Fluke seemed like it's a critical mistake just now. Swimming pretty good. I don't know what to make of all this right now. Starting to become just a giant believer in stuff like Procure and Gulp. 15 minutes into fishing right now. Fish somewhere where I'm just not fishing. I mean, is this thing not really starting well? Well, it's starting pretty well. In terms of how fishy it looks, it's passing all the tests. Open the bail all the way there. looks proper. not the lure, it's the angler. I feel like I might have hit that moment where I'm starting to feel like I'm doing something wrong. And now I can feel why people say artificials suck in the Keys. Not everybody says that, but a lot of people you talk to don't like fishing artificials in the Keys. This right here is giving me that vibe, man. I'd be like, yeah, artificials in the Keys suck. Couple small bites here. Oh, missed something finally. Sloppy so far. Oh man. I really should look up a lot of the vegetation types over here. I don't know what that is, right? I just call it seaweed, right? But, you know, I'm on the water enough. Maybe I should learn a couple specific terms, I think. And I'm jigging too aggressive and fouling up a couple times. Like with this video, I have become the biggest salesman of Gulp out there for the day. I do like Procure too, man, but this is like reality crushing, painful. Especially, I do have Procure in my kayak. I don't have any Gulping with me, but I have this in my kayak. I'm just like, I'm like really resisting it right now. I gotta give it at least 2 hours. Right? I do, right? Before I really tap out. This sucks. Is it the size of the profile I'm using? What is it? What is it? How did I not get a bite there? How did I not get a bite? How? Oh, it's gotta get a bite. It's like it's moving right. All right, it's got a teeth mark or two on it. Not too many. Maybe it's that 30-pound leader that since I hooked the tarpon the last time we came here. Oh man, my brain is all jacked up right now. You have no idea. You know, you watch these other uncut guys. They're chill, and I'm gonna give you anxiety by the time of this. You'll walk away from this video too saying, this guy, he's a mess. I wouldn't want to fish with him ever. That's why he's always fishing alone. He just doesn't stop talking about how unsure he is of what he's doing. Getting some bites now. I mean, they weren't very sizable, but had a couple bites under there. Yeah, I'm getting a few taps here. Taps aren't fish at the end of the line, unfortunately. And this thing does dart well when I'm jigging it. Won't deny that part. Alright, we're gonna go back to the Zoom fluke then. I think I had like 4 or 5 bites there. Nothing to stick. Current's much milder at this part that I'm fishing here. And hopeless. I wouldn't say hopeless, but feeling head scratchy. You can tell too, usually, you know, you run your fingers over the plastic after. Does it look like it's all, this one's definitely got some ribbage. I'm letting these spots breathe. I guess that's another important thing, right? Like, I'm doing these trips to these places about a week apart, week and a half. Well, one of them was, yeah, they're been about a week apart, so. But the thing that is important here, man, is like, this wind machine has now been blowing for just a very prolonged period of time. I don't think that was the situation in the first 2 goes I've had here. I think I've now hit just like endless wind. So probably this should have been what I did the first time coming out here. But, ooh, got something. That's a nice fish, man. Has he got a shark on him? Oh gosh, we gotta figure this out quick, man. Okay. Okay, you wanna go down through here? Let's do it. Ooh, we see that chip I got on the something there? Oh no, oh no, no. That's close, thankfully. Why are you going back through there? Come with me, man. Oh man. Whew. That's a jack, I feel him now. Got my rods back in order. Zach, I don't think he's gonna watch it. Your net is floating away. I think I needed it actually. Dude. Need that net, Zach. Okay. First. I could probably, man. Jack wasn't even that big, just fighting on steroids, man. So much current for him. Just a little fish like that. I mean, relatively speaking, right? It's a 4-pound yellow jack. Just getting you and dogging you in that much current, man. World of a difference. Yeah, man. World of a difference. Well, I guess that was an angling masterclass of cluster. I wonder how that watches back. Like, I think a lot of times I end up editing that kind of just, absurdity of just getting twirled around and beat up. Like that one, you're gonna see like just twisting and turning. You gotta clear the rods, right? That's one thing. Hang on. The rod's got to get cleared over. And then on top of it, it's just like, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Let's get out of this wind, though. Camera lens is fogging up for some reason. It's business as usual for the electronics and the keys. It's also because of that rain. I got wet a couple videos ago. Bet that might have gotten some moisture in that camera lens. Hopefully it's not too bad, but I see a dot there. Hopefully it doesn't get worse. All right. Shake it off, Elias. Shake it off. Okay. We have no snappers yet. Notice that? Oh, I do. Also got that kind of crappie magnet. You ever fish with that stuff in salt water? It's so much fun. In my personal opinion. Using too many zoom flukes, I'm realizing though. Might go to the Z-Mans, I don't know. Let's see. Especially because I kind of want those zoom flukes for trips next week. As soon as I get that weather to go fish the ocean, I want to have those zoom flukes handy. A lot of guys like these Albie snacks too. So far that hasn't really produced. I'm going to give it one more shot. Does deserve another shot. I used them for false albacore. I've never used them for much else. Really, the zoom flukes even got in the bites from the jacks. Stuck. I got it out. There's a couple of hangs everywhere on these bridges. There's not that many. It's like every now and then I get hung up. That's a smaller jack, I think. Winching them in. What was that? This fell off my Fuego just now. Was there a screw there? Oh no. Oh man, my gear is getting butt kicked. Awesome, Elias. Real classy. We know this fish there ain't biting our lines. That's a horse-eye jack. I don't know how much bigger they get than this. Kind of like a pump, a little closer to a pompano. cast now. Just keep moving, I guess. I don't know. That current where I got pulled under is moving right, though, in my opinion. That zone. Zone, no bites. I mean, there's got to be fish on. Oop, oop. Nope. Every set of piling. I think so. Almost every set, rather. And that's like a really nice, dense, like eel type profile, in my opinion. I feel like that should work really well. Well, do we go into advertisement mode yet? I'm putting Procure on. We don't have any Gulp, so we can't, you know, just be like, all right, let's go back to Gulp. We gotta make it happen with the Procure if we're gonna do anything here. And that's where I'm like, my brain's leading to right now. Wait, yeah, I haven't hooked a single snapper, mangrove, mutton. And even the jack bite's kind of slow. Got one. Yeah, it really went slow there. I like kind of just popped it along the bottom, didn't do much. Feels like a jack maybe? I don't know. I hate that thing they do under the kayak sometimes. It does make me a little nervous. It's a yellow jack. Much slow roll on that though. Black spots. I don't know if I showed you that before. I'm sure I have. I wonder when the pompano show up. I feel like I'm deep enough into winter that a couple of the pomps should be on these bridges now. I got one or two in Isla Morada last year. It was February. The other thing is, I'm really flirting with the idea of coming back in February. I don't know, I'm having a good time out here, man. Really feel like I'm kind of reigniting the fishing passion when I come get to travel a little bit. It's not an inexpensive area, unfortunately. So, but I think I might be able to make it happen. What do you think? And I don't know what February, I did pretty good. I only came here for a week last year in February. I did do pretty good. Really wonder what it's like in like April, May, June. I fished the Everglades last year in February too, and got blown out there pretty hard too. I can't imagine what was blowing here those days. maybe Key Largo. I don't know. Key Largo, Key West. Those are two areas I kind of spent a lot of my time between Isla Morada and Big Pine Key, where I put most of my time in. What's the other one? I haven't been to like where those Pensacola guys are either. It's another area I'd probably like to fish one day, especially in the winter. You get a pretty cool run of blackfin tuna I think it's in January, February, around those parts. That's accessible with the kayak. Like, most regions of the country do have something that's kind of unique to that zone. I'd say North Carolina is kind of an interesting one too, because some years North Carolina gets like runs of stuff that are more northern, like the big bluefish. Like last year we got the big bluefish and it was fun. I love catching those things in North Carolina. They seem more aggressive when they're in North Carolina than they are in the Northeast, especially because they got sharks chasing them around and tearing them to pieces. Like those, I'm talking like the 8 to 12 pound bluefish. When they get into North Carolina, they are really aggressive. Some years those big weak fish, a couple of them make it up. Not too many. Something's on there. That's one of those jacks. The weak fish can make it to North Carolina. Striped bass historically did, right? I think they kind of ended around Cape Lookout. Was kind of the historical end of the road for stripers on their southern migration. But, it hasn't been as cold in over a decade now. Like we haven't had a cold winter since 2010, somewhere around there. Honestly, one of the things I remember too, being a kid in the Great White North, like the last year of a good striper run in North Carolina also coincided with the last year of a really good run of cod in Block Island. And I'm talking like 20, 30 fish trips of cod at Block Island in February. And then we started getting like some weirder winters, and everything really slowly changed around that point for me personally in my fishing experiences. Those winters definitely changed a lot of stuff. And then we had like one or two colder winters. I think it was like 2018 was definitely one of the colder winters, and definitely seemed to at least do some cool stuff. But things changed for sure, man, on that end. It's changed the fisheries and where bait is now. I don't know enough about the Keys, man, what's really changed it. I know the summers have been, some years, just so exceptionally hot. There's a lot of reef die-off here. Coral dies, rather. Bleached coral. So there is recovery of that stuff, though, thankfully, but it's not always so easy to come by, necessarily. All right, we had a bunch of bites there, but go back to the zoom. I don't know about that guy. Might be just a good false albacore offshore lure. It's also, you're throwing a little bit bigger profiles at these bridges, that you kind of do lose that stealth. Like this to me is an area that does require stealth, so might be in for personal humbling too. Okay. Bites there. Ran the swivel through. First time I did that in a while. I don't do it too often, but there you go. I'm not perfect at that. You asleep yet, man? But yeah, the fishery's changed a lot. Striper fishing. Some things have gotten better. Ooh, that's probably what I hooked earlier by accident. One of those guys. I don't know if he came out on camera. There's an eagle ray that was porpoised over there. Cleared the water rather. Man. I'm gonna wrap myself up there. I think if you don't have scent, you can kiss the snapper goodbye, man. My current vibe, at least when this water is murkier. I don't think they're very interested in coming out to hunt on just noise and tapping along the bottom. I think the jacks are doing okay, but I don't think the snappers are really that interested. Kind of probably getting into a negative mood. I don't know how they hunt necessarily. We at hour 2 yet? Nope, not yet. I'm not gonna switch the scent yet. Not yet. I have to shorten this leader a little bit. I'm wrapping it into the guides too much. Doesn't help with the water. Can't see anything. So I'm rolling it through the water. Boink. Hitting bridges. When you're not catching fish, then you get real sloppy. You notice how quickly I'm deteriorating right now? Caught like just a handful of fish, and it's like, oh no, now I'm not catching too much. Now I'm bopping the bridge, hitting my guides, wrapping up. Negative mood, man. Real negative. Oops, gotta go that way. Couple fish around these pilings. Jacks again. Those yellow jacks can get aggressive. I think those are yellow jacks, probably. Maybe the horse size. Seems like there's some larger yellow jacks around today. Jack corral. Damn, I'm snagging them. Second fish I snagged today. What is going on today? This is embarrassing today. All right, man. I am currently, what, an hour into fishing. I've got 0 snapper to the kayak. I've caught just jacks. Do we at least start to add Procure to start seeing what the difference is? I think I'm getting there, at least mentally. Fish don't like it. They don't like what I'm doing today. Okay, making this executive decision. It's like an alcoholic, you know? Like I just popped open. It means to be offensive saying that, but you know, you're like, all right, God, I can't resist. I gotta do it. I just gotta do it. It's gotta smell good. You eat chicken with no salt, no pepper, no hot sauce? I don't. Put some juicy on there. It's gonna do it. Still yellow jack, but see more of these today, I think. Oh, sorry, dude. Getting sucked into some sketchy current here. Get you back out there. Back up, back up, back up. All right. Confirmation bias +1. Zoom fluke with scent. Got a bite. Added scent, rather. It's no magic bullet either. I'm not catching. Haven't just caught one there after that hit. Get some junk on my lure though. All right, just one bite there, though. Ooh. Hey, oh man. I think I got spoiled with such a good day with those Gulp shrimps, man. I'm just like, I'm so pumped to try this again. I really mentally expected to have still a good day. We're definitely not done with it, but brah. If I ever had to drop the word brah about that. I think I did. That's something there. Oh man, he's on there. Wow, where is this thing going? Took off, went to another planet. Guess that's one benefit so far, though. I'm using these larger lures today. I don't think I've got hooked any of these. Oh gosh, make a little mess. Oh, in the hatch? What did I have? Oh my gosh. Oh, man. epic fail. I got my phone and my wallet covered in jack slime. That's great. You ever go to the grocery store after a day of fishing, like heavy, just heavy fishing, and you gotta like pick up something on the way home and kind of smell? Today's gonna be one of those, like, you just gotta run some errands. Jack got into the hatch just now, so it's pretty rough. I made a mess. Oh, I got all my jig heads over the kayak. Figure it out. Okay. We're gonna make this work, ladies and gentlemen. We will. I swear. I'm gonna catch something today that's gonna say, you know what? Procure and all that stuff. Like I said, we did just switch off. No sense of procure and maybe this Albi snack's not the right move for this place. I feel like it's a pretty good profile. I don't know. Those eel tails are pretty good in general. I have whiptails back at the house, but they're 6 inches. Those are too big, I think. I think this Albi snack's 5 inches. Maybe it just doesn't have enough of that flutter. It's kind of, you know, a little stiff, but oh, jeez, I'm gonna scratch my head. Maybe it's the size. Size of the profile. These jacks are hitting this occasionally. I've definitely felt a couple bumps from them. All right, I think I'm gonna take the Albi snack off. It's one largemouth bass lure that hasn't worked. Not yet. Right, these say they're scented, but honestly, they're scented with Procure, so they'll wash off pretty quick. It's a 4-inch jerk shad. See if going smaller is going to be like, oh, the light bulb is going to go off. That 4-inch, that's what you need. It's important to keep in mind, right? Like, every environment's going to be different. Like, this is probably not how I'd fish on the bigger bridges too much. I think you just get covered in those grunts, and for the most part, you get covered in those grunts. Oh gosh, I'm wrapped up so bad here. You get covered in those grunts. Then you're probably not fishing for the prime stuff. So here it's really, you're looking for that whatever bites, but you know, maybe you can edge out some of those better fish blowing 20 knots. In a spot like this, it's got some nice fish out on it, but I don't know, wouldn't say it's where I'd go with my most aggressive presentations either. I went down to a 4-inch Z-Man right now. It's got no scent besides what came out of the factory. Which is, you know, putting a pile of Procure on it out of the factory. There's a bunch of jacks here. I can't believe I got a jack went into my hatch, man. That's the first time I've ever had a fish jump itself into one of the kayak hatches like that. Woo-hoo. How often does that happen to you? You kind of think you got a favorite area, and you're just like, man, it ain't fishing like what I thought it would fish like. That's how I feel about this today. I'm like, no snapper coming out of his hole. Haven't seen the T-dog. The barracuda's munching. Not too much. Where I put that bottle of Procure? Did I knock it off the kayak earlier? That's gonna be the worst. Oh, there it is. Sometimes some stuff gets stuck under the seat here. Works its way under the seat, rather. I think those fish really shut down with those cold fronts, or you think they move? Some areas, some places they move a lot, you know. Wrangled me up there. I remember I did it with these Gulp shrimp. I already had like I had two snappers, I remember, within my like first 10 minutes. Today, we're not seeing that. I feel like there's a jack behind every one of these round pilings, trying to get my jig down so they don't. Maybe if I can get down below them a couple times, I'll hook something else. Definitely that cast, I had a bunch of jack bites. Getting some bites here. What a stinker. You show up with Gulp, bro. Don't show up with this other shit. Sorry. Putting myself out of business. Not throwing in lion shad and smoking them. I mean, my next idea is to go to the paddle tails and stuff like that, see what that catches. But after seeing this, man, it's like these zones. Gulp, man. Bring that Gulp. Weed through the little fish. We'll still catch some pretty good fish. I guess the metal lures too. We got something actually? Yeah. Oh, man. Metal lures are also pretty good, right? That would be the other thing, but I'm thinking, you know, if you're fishing these tight zones where I just want whatever bites. Man, we got hung up there. First break off, I guess. Besides our stingray. Whew. Okay, man. Back to the drawing board. This is brutal from an angling standpoint. I wonder how useful you'll find it though, man. It's like, let's say you get out once a week. You do get to fish quite a bit, but you know, maybe you don't, you know, have that much experience where sometimes you get set in the way a little bit too. Like, so you're seeing something like this where you're like, hey, he's really struggling without, you know, that scented bait. Like for the last 2 times you come in here. Yeah, and I'd agree with you, man. And I don't know how I would have picked this apart without just coming. You know, I'm obviously out here to have some fun. I think it's pretty noticeable I am having fun, right? Like, I'm enjoying myself. But I'm also trying to make it a combination of let's have fun, let's learn, you know, let's do everything. A little everything, rather, right? So I'm trying to learn, trying to have some fun. But, man, you know, changing it up versus, you know, if this was just me on a personal level going fishing, there is that, you know, the reasoning to try to do a little extra something different for the sake of content, right? If I showed back up here with Gulp shrimp, this wouldn't be interesting at all. You know what I'm saying? But I'm showing back up here with, you know, kind of the zoomed flukes, which I like to use a lot. But I'm getting my butt kicked right now. I really am compared to the last 2 trips here. And still, you know, we caught fish, right? We got, what? At least 7-8 jacks so far. So, from that standpoint, that's not too bad. Let's put one of these barefoots on here. That was 3/16 one. Let's put that on. So yeah, from that perspective, it's not too bad. But after seeing what was possible with something like Gulp, you know, I'm really changed my mind. And granted, if I could grab I don't have a live well with me or anything like that. Live well full of pilchards or something like that. That'd be another interesting take to see how that does. You know, I don't think live shrimp would do that well. I'm going to tell you the truth, but maybe it would. I feel like live shrimp I'd be fighting through a lot of small fish. It's a 3/16 ounce jig. Zoom flukes coming back out. Going a little lighter now. Now I'm in experiment mode. It's 3/8 earlier. Maybe that was too heavy. 3/16. And where's that hot sauce? So in my relationship with, I don't really talk about too much about personal stuff, but what the hell? Wife loves hot sauce. I put hot sauce on food, but not aggressively. My wife's an aggressive hot sauce user. Like in our fridge at home, we have what, a dozen hot sauce bottles? I think probably maybe one is mine, or one or none. I do cook with it more, but I don't like put it on food as an add-on too often. Now I'm getting hungry talking about food. So how have I been prepping a lot of these Keys catches, right? So the yellow jacks, I'm making poke bowls with them pretty regularly, right? Go small cubes with them. And pompano, if you want to make like a poke dish out of pompano, that'll work pretty good too. Go with like really small cubes though. A couple of the secrets I always feel like when it comes to a good poke bowl is fresh ginger is mandatory. It seems like ever since I started moving on to fresh ginger added, that's such a big difference. And not using ponzu, really reducing the amount of citrus has helped too. Yeah, I feel like less citrus I've been a little bit more into what I'm getting out of the end of the poke bowl. Sesame, all that stuff's important too, right? And I'm sure if you're desperate, maybe a Jack Crevalle or a bluefish will make a decent poke bowl. But these guys can have worms. I don't know about bluefish having worms. I think they can have some kind of parasites too. But the yellow jack and the Crevalle, the yellow jack doesn't have worms. The Crevalle can. I'm sure the yellow jack can, but I haven't seen them yet. But honestly, I've just been keeping like one or two of those a week. Those are good too if you have people over, right? Like you need a fish to just get a meal going for a few people. I think those yellow jacks are good for that too. I don't know how, I was thinking too is they're probably pretty good on the grill whole. Just grill them up. A little bit of seasoning, get that skin real crispy, because they have very fine scales, kind of like, let's say kind of like a mackerel. Nah, not like a mackerel, but kind of like pompano. But their scales are very fine, so they probably do grill up really well. And they do have a bloodline that's kind of like a bluefish. It is a little gnarly. They don't have the oil content of pompano, so they're definitely a drier fish, but they do have a good flavor. So like that's what's kind of important when it comes to a lot of fish. Does the flavor suck? And some fish just have that flavor that you just have to do so much more work to get fantastic end product out of them. And to this day, I've never tried a Jack Crevalle. Man, 5-6 years ago, I kept a big one out of curiosity. I just really wanted to see what it was like. And that was the only fish I've ever grabbed and said, oh my goodness, there were so many worms in this thing. It was like absolutely the worst amberjack you've ever seen worms. Speaking of amberjack too though, I remember when we were in Panama, man, this is gonna sound weird, right? Like, they didn't love grouper and snapper all that much. They liked them and they ate them, but amberjack was like one of their prized catches. But I'm not too sure if I know they're at the Pacific amberjacks, they don't have worms. And they're more like the Almaco jacks, but yeah, when they cooked them up, man, I was like, man, I don't think our jacks tasted like that. It could be everything, about the oils they used in Panama. Panama was such an interesting, that was 2023 I did that trip. It was really interesting just to see the fried foods were really like unlike anything you have in America. I think a lot of it comes down to the oils and the supply chain of their foods. Obviously, when you have fresh fish, you know, that's one story. But like even their fried chicken, all of their fried appetizers, it was very different. I always recommend like just try to, every now and then it's fun to see like food in other countries. And sometimes you're like, man, your fast food's so much better. I mean, we have good food too in the United States, don't get me wrong. But like sometimes it's a lot of times I notice it's the grab and go stuff that is really impressive overseas. Like in the United States, yeah, you take the time to make something amazing, it's just as good. But like sometimes when you're looking for that grab and go food, you're like, whoa, that fried chicken's banging here. All right, there's one. Getting a couple bites now on the Zoom Fluke with the scent. Is that a boat wake? I felt like a couple chops. A little bit. Yeah, this car's ripping here. This isn't that deep even. 7 feet? It's ripping like this. I don't know, I feel like the other day when I came out here it wasn't ripping that hard. Even though that was a full moon. It's ripping today, but I feel like it's ripping harder today. Maybe all that northeast wind. No, sir. Stock up on Gulp, man. Just stock up on all the Gulp you can find. Getting a couple bites on this piling here. There he is. Still the jacks, man. Like I'm on a never-ending roll with that freaking. How's my line twist getting worse today? I feel like it is. There we go. Wind must have picked up a lot. First of all, I'm bouncing now. Like I got a little roll. Also, let's back up out of this zone here. Not supposed to really get any stormy weather for a little bit now, so I'm like, there it is. These are all jacks, huh? I cannot catch a snapper without the help of my friend Gulp. Sure seems like it for today. Oh boy. Your shark bait now. Tough life of a jack in the Florida Keys, but anyway. Fishing is a brutal sport, man. You turn fish into shark bait sometimes. That's it. Those jacks around here, gotta keep in mind they are pretty much bait to most of the fish here. It's one of those things that survives strength in numbers kind of situation. You notice how large jacks are kind of few and far in between here. They're usually these 1 to 2 pounders. It's because probably all the bull sharks, that hammerheads and bull sharks, they just really get their hands on them pretty easily. But I highly doubt it's angling. I gotta try to shield that camera a little bit. Wind's picked up quite a bit. It's windy before, now it's cranking. I was watching the end of that last video where that storm came through, and you could see like my pants. These wind microphones really help a lot with that, but you could see my pants just going like that was something else. That was probably gusts up to 30 that day, towards the end especially. Sure felt like it was that. It's getting windier now though. I gotta block it. Like I'm getting that pop coming over the bow a bunch. Whew. This might end up being pretty disappointing from a catching standpoint today, but I think the learning standpoint is going to be just like the last one, in my opinion. This was to start talking about different subjects and settle into the fact we ain't going to catch a bunch of 14, 15-inch snappers. Just going to enjoy ourselves then. So, what's new in fishing world? What YouTube fishing gossip does Elias V Fishing have? Not too much. Talking to Justin, Kayak Catfish, he's got that Hobie Lynx now, so I'm really, thanks Justin for like responding to me often about it. I don't know if he probably won't watch this, but he's been pretty, he fishes hard too, right? So I really want a Hobie Lynx for its weight, right? I thought I'd really like just having that lighter kayak finally. It's like a lot of stuff, I don't want to lug around the EPDL. I think the EPDL is my perfect kind of long distance fishing kayak, right? This has replaced my Hobie Outback for the most part, replaced the autopilot. But like, I do want something that it's like there's a barricade or I gotta climb over stuff. This is still a heavy kayak. I can work with it, but as I get closer to 40, I want something that's even easier to work with, right? Like, especially like something like this today. I don't think I need this, right? I could have just done this on a Hobie Lynx, grabbed a bag of jigs, stuff like that. And I really would appreciate having quicker setup times. For example, like getting on the water quick and, not connecting batteries, all that stuff. Somebody's here. This helicopter and I'm in here. We haven't been sharked here yet. I'm sure we might. If we ask for it, we'll get it. Yes. But yeah, I do think that Hobie Lynx's setup time is really appealing for a lot of reasons. But everyone talks about the durability being a problem. I see guys in Virginia, they got a lot of tape on it because they're banging against pilings. I've met a couple people that put those Hobie Lynxes in their truck beds and they look like they're kind of damaged. And if you hit oysters with that, all that stuff. So It's definitely a bunch of things you don't want to do with the Hobie links. Hitting oysters. It sounds like one of them. What's the other thing too? The other thing I was worried about too is, like, sometimes I do leave my kayak on my roof rack overnight, like, or sometimes I put it in the tailgate, right? I do a little mix of each. I use the tailgate and I use roof rack, different scenarios. I do wonder if leaving it on that roof rack with the straps, does it warp easy? Does it have a couple of those quirky things that, it won't survive? Like, the last thing I want to do is buy Hobie links. In 6 months I kill it. Hobie's repackaged and resold because, Hobie's been... It'd be a fun episode to really talk about ISV fishing's history with Hobie. It'd be an interesting one, as, a bunch of people have their own take on it, what happened with me and Hobie. Honestly, it all comes down to the fact there's so many just funny things. I was definitely kind of aggressive, very New York, cut to the bullshit kind of guy at one point. This last decade has mellowed me out a lot. Because, I was not the type of person that should become a public persona. I definitely am not. I'm probably the worst personality to be an content creator, right? I'm not bubbly. Everyone always appreciates when somebody could be pretty real at the moment, right? I could definitely get into, all right, I'm feeling real about this, I'm gonna fire off. But, pleasantries and small talk and, what's up, guys? I'm here with my camera crew and doing all this stuff. No, I'm kind of salty, I guess, right? But anyway, especially when I got started, I was really salty. I've definitely mellowed out and gotten much more friendly. If you think I'm not friendly now in person, if you bump into me, you're like, man, this guy, I don't really like this guy. I think you should have seen me 7-8 years ago when I had a chip on my shoulder that was, far more abrasive, I would say is a good word. I guess it comes from the background of where I grew up, the type of environments I went through. Like, I've said it once or twice before, so like before I was fishing YouTuber, right? What was my career goal? Went to business school. Let me see. I went to the same business school that Martin Shkreli went to. The farmer bro who owned the Wu-Tang album? Yeah, that's where I went, Brew College. So that's like a cutthroat. You come out of that with one thing. You learned how to make money. Especially if you went into finance, which I didn't, but like that's the goal. People went there because, you go to this school to make money. So that indoctrination, university indoctrination, probably didn't do me no favors. Business school. After that, my first job out of college, 2008, Great Recession, was Nestle, like Nestle water, Nestle chocolates. I worked for a brand called Nespresso, and oh my gosh, it's like working for the great Satan. So it took me a while to get that out of me. I was there for 5 years. I was commission based. It was really cutthroat and corporate and evil. Then the final thing I did before working self-employed was I worked for New York City Transit. I got called to be a train operator or train engineer, as it's called in many other places. And that job paid really well, right? For somebody like me. Well, and offered some great benefits. My dad retired from the Transit Authority, and did 2 years there, passed probation, did all that stuff. I was really not loving it, right? And I was pretty young for that job, I'm not gonna lie. Like, not too many people were in there. Turn around, you pig. Not too many people were in their mid-20s. I think I was probably, 26, 27 at that time. So not too many people were in that age bracket. And New York City Transit, it's a union organization. You get a lot of benefits, vacation time. But I don't know, it must have employed like 50,000 people back then, or 60,000. It's just literally bureaucracy. And there's times when you can't leave a job like that. I get it. And I still talk to a couple guys that I was working with back then. Most of them are trained service supervisors, which is like one of the higher tier union jobs out there. And I ended up, leaving after 2 years. I was like, do I do it? Do I don't? Felt really risky. It sure did. Still does to this day. I think I definitely made the right decision. My life has given me a lot more experiences I'd probably never have otherwise. But at the same time, I don't have a pension, right? I got an ISV fishing pension, so I better do things right. Yeah, that job was tough. A lot of late nights, all that stuff. But probably the sickest physically one time in my life that I've ever been was when I was working there. I've never been that sick in my life again. I had such a bad fever, and I worked on an overnight snowstorm. I remember just laying down in my bathtub, not sure if what was gonna happen. I don't get sick too often. I've never been like debilitated sick in my life all that much. That was the only time. That was in my mid-20s when that happened. And I don't think I've ever had such a close to, maybe one or two other ones tops, but like nothing comes close to that time. But anyway, all that stuff, I was kind of struggling a little bit. I think I got to spray it on my lens there just now. Yeah. Anyway, only thing I did, right, one of the biggest things, I grew up fishing, right? I always took jobs that didn't make me work 9 to 5. I never wanted to work 9 to 5 because after working shifts like 12 to 8, that gave me time to fish every morning, or most mornings rather, right? So I got to fish a lot in the morning, and I was super pumped about being able to do that all the time. So I was like, all right, I want to fish. So eventually I was like, being in my late 20s, I was like, I gotta just try it once. Let's do the fishing guiding thing. And during that time, I was doing started the content. And I had some growth, and it was just enough to make me take the risk to really start putting more time into it. And all the baggage that comes with being content-related personality. And during that time, life was different when you're a content creator with 10,000 subscribers. Now it's different, right? When you're still, a lot of content creators these days, I'm not trying to throw too much shade, they're millionaires trying to make $110 million, right? Is that a way? Does that make sense? You have $1 million, you're spending $1 million, and you're going to make $110 million. Now, I feel like that's the norm. When I started, most of the kids, we were made fun of for being broke, right? You're fishing with broken things. You're trying to get your fish with Cast King. Everyone's making fun of you. You're some goober. Still make fun of you. You'll never get respect on that end. But in terms of, it wasn't easy making ends meet for a few years. I mean, it's still not necessarily. I mean, it's not like you gotta keep it real, man. Most content creators aren't rich. Well, like making rich money. Plenty of them are rich to start. But your ISU fishing, I don't know how easy it comes off. I'm not one of those rich ass content creators that came from money to somebody who could spend $1 million to hopefully make $110 million. I'm definitely not that guy. I don't know how that comes across necessarily, but yeah, long story short, the history of Hobie and me, it's kind of funny. Be another good another good uncut one. We'll go through the whole timeline of all the ridiculousness. The long story short is I had a cracked kayak, right? And they told me to dispose of it, right? Hobie told me, they put it on me to dispose of a kayak in New York City. And I was like, I have no idea what it's gonna do with this. Sanitation's not gonna pick this up and just, you know, bring it if I put it on the curb. So I gave it to my buddy Gene. He said, yeah, I'll take care of it. And that was it. Like, literally, I was like, okay, he made it disappear. I just thought that was fine. I didn't really think about it, etc., etc. I remember bringing it home and was told you have to put it on I put it on Facebook Marketplace. I wasn't instructed what to do with this cracked kayak. And then I was contacted, you have to destroy it. So I just gave it to my buddy Gene because I had no idea. And I really had no clue how to dispose of this thing. So I was blamed for not disposing of a kayak that was warranty claimed by Hobie. That's pretty much a real Hobie thing to do, right? If you want to hear about what sounds like a Hobie thing to do, is to give you you have a kayak that's cracked, they're gonna make you dispose of it. And that's it. I didn't have the means of disposing of it. And before you know it, it became a meme fest. Sure, a bunch of boomers are going to comment, they have their own take on it, but oh man, we ain't getting too much going here, man. After I went off on my tangent, this is a lousy trip right now. These fish don't like that milk. Milky water ain't doing it. This is why people say you need live bait in the Keys. You know, you see a couple of my videos here and you're like, yeah, artificial's pretty good. This day. This is the day where I'd say, dude, without bait, you're done. You are done today. And I feel it. I really feel that way today, for sure. Apparently Gulp will do it. Man, it'll really do it apparently around here. I didn't realize Gulp's that good here. I thought Gulp would be pretty good. You know, Gulp's pretty good everywhere. Got a totally different opinion of Gulp after this. I mean, I'm not catching short mangroves. I'm not catching grunt hunt. You know, are they living in the tube? I still think I'm close enough to those tubes that I'd get a couple bites. Man. Oh, holy dang. Probably jack. A few bites here and there. Wind's pumping too. What a disappointment on that one, right? I thought we're building, and then it's like, nope. Turns out, you ain't got it, boy. Not today. It's good use of these throwaway days, man. Like, these days in the Keys, even though they're windy and I'm not like getting to the prime fishing I want, man, this is valuable still. Right now, it's really just the jacks that are kind of sporadically biting. Not much else. Add a little bit of this Procure now. Still not making that difference, honestly. Makes you wonder, is the zoom fluke too big even, maybe? I don't know, I catch small buttons on zoom flukes all the time though, now that I think about it. Who's out there? Who's out there? Speaking of small buttons, there's one. Guy. First snapper. Wow, we're what, 2 hours into fishing right now? That is the first snapper we've caught. Let's see if something's gonna really turn around about that ratio rather. I think we're doomed no matter how we slice it on that. I think we can both agree they shut down. Or if you don't got the Gulp shrimp, stay home. Now I know though, next time I do any little bridge fishing and it's like an edited video or, yeah, it ain't gonna be just zoom flukes and stuff like that. If we got water that looks like this and it's been blowing, Gulp is 100% coming with me. I'm not gonna do this without Gulp going for it. And that's something I actually haven't been doing. Right, it's half Gulp. I'm going to have some metal lures. And I think like in, you know, a bigger bridge, it could be different. Like Bahia Honda, for example, done pretty good without Gulp, even water that looks like this. That's kind of chalky. You remember that 1 year. But it's coming along, going forward. This is the dirtiest we've fished here, though, like by far. This ain't like murky, you know, kind of off. This is the dirtiest. For sure. Wonder what it's gonna look like when it finally settles back out. Am I gonna even have it? Is it gonna still be a waste of time? No clue on that. Talk about when you go fishing in the Keys though, and you see water like this, expect a day like this. Or I'm just like, I don't know. I haven't given up. Let's see what slack does. We'll get like an hour of slack. Maybe I could start getting some fish to come out of the woodwork when that tide does slow down a little bit. But right now it's like, I don't know, man. we got a bunch of jacks under us here. Those are all jacks, yeah. I think this is where I hooked the horse-eye jack. Those guys seem like they pile up hard. And it's a huge cloud of these jacks here. They're not even biting all that well. Dude, it's embarrassing. I bet you Gulp still would have done okay. At least in my brain. I'm like, yeah, I think Gulp would still work. I think it's the jacks are the only one that are just not that affected by that chocolatey water. I haven't caught a grunt. We haven't even caught a grunt. And like, grunt is like should be like the easiest ones to come by. Gotta look at the water, how the water looks in this video versus the last few before this too. Might be a good reference point. Tangled up there. I don't know why I got such bad line twist on here. I don't remember trolling recently. I'm bumping fish on the way down. I'm not getting bit. Finally had a bite there. Tell me the grunts don't want to bite? You know, that's like what's going through my head right now. Maybe I gotta really slow it down. That might be the thing I'm doing too. That poorly also is. Oh, what a terrible decision on my end to slow it down right there. Slowed it down right into rock number 2. Well done. Well done, Goober. Got it back. This is the toughest day we've watched together. We've gone together, rather. You and I. And I hope you don't leave this video too disappointed. Like, last unedited video I did, I was like, oh, I'm getting a good hang of catching fish straight for 4 hours. And today I'm like, oh, goodness. I haven't caught anything for 4 hours. You might be asking why I didn't keep any jacks. I do have a couple snappers at home right now. But oh, cool. Zero? I think it's a zero, right? Yeah, small zero. They got a vertical bar on them. I've never caught one on a bridge before. I know I think the big ones hang out near the break, which is like 3-4 miles out, but I'm not too sure about that if you can catch. I have not caught any real big zeros yet. I know on average they do get larger than Spanish mackerel. I don't know if there's like what timing you want for those things though. They do taste pretty good. I think they taste a little bit better than Spanish mackerel. They are close though. It's really Cero and Spanish are both pretty good, and then king mackerel is, I don't like king mackerel, man. Very few fish I could say I adamantly dislike like king mackerel. I feel like this water's getting dirtier. Somehow. Hard to imagine. Interesting to catch a Cero mackerel though. I thought those were highly, visually sight feeders. That throw a zoom fluke at them would be the last thing I'd be like, oh, that's gonna work. That would be on the bottom of my list. Oh yeah, that's gonna work. Yellow jack. As I'm out here filming though, if I was just out here to like have a good time and catch fish for the table, I'd probably target those fish very often. Like Meg and I are going to do that. She likes those jacks because they're pretty forgiving. She has caught the biggest mutton snapper between the two of us. She got that 31 incher last year. Look how terribly poor I rigged that zoom fluke just now. Yeah, she got a 31-inch mutton snapper on a zoom fluke with me. We were not really jigging good structure. I would say it was a little bit of structure, but it wasn't anything. It was kind of out in no man's land. Yeah, so she's the superstar, and she landed it like all by herself. It was like the first big fish she got. So what's funny about that is I don't know how much she realizes to have your first big solo catch being a 31-inch mutton snapper. That is like as good as it gets. Like, I have never caught a 31-inch mutton snapper for my kayak. Like, that's like catching let's see, let me regionalize it a little bit. It's like catching a 70-pound blue catfish or a 50-pound flathead, a 50-pound striper. It's one of those, like, really unique and tough to do catch. Tough to duplicate, too. Like, don't know why my line's twisting so much today. Something wrong with my guide? That's one thing that I'm worried about. I have to get one of those, Eagle Claw do-it-yourself guide kits, and maybe that's not the best guide. Just do another pass, up and down, back and forth, right? That's the first grunt too. That's Sailor's Choice, right? Somebody commented they have Ciguatera sometimes, and maybe it was the Margate, not the Sailor's Choice. Maybe if you're watching that again, you got that up on your desktop. Let me know that, because I thought that Margate Sailor's Choice was really good, but might be referring to the black Margates, which I think are the offshore ones exclusively. A few more bites now, though. Let's see if this sustains. Figuring out a rhythm, I guess, is important too, right? Strong, man. I don't even know if I can go more than 2 piling set down. More Procure and rinse and repeat, man. I was really hoping with, going with the Zoom Flukes, like, I would see maybe even bigger snappers than the last time. I'm getting greedy in my brain here to say I'm going to start catching 20-inch mangroves, Should be happy with those 14s and 15s, but what I was thinking really was like, okay, I got, 14, oh gosh. I got some 14s and 15s on Zoom Flukes, on the on the Gulp shrimps. Maybe? I don't know. I was relying on those to save me from my lack of personality. Coming out here and filming and thinking I got it. I got what it takes. Now this is a wind-driven drift. The tide's still there a little bit, but it's definitely an awkward tidal drift, I'd say. Do need to get more Zoom Flukes this week too. I am marking fish in pretty decent numbers, though, scattered about, but they are showing up. Okay. West grown. These guys look kind of cool. A lot of people eat them. I know they're kind of on the smaller side, but I think I've caught a couple 12, 13-inch ones of those. I don't know what their maximum size is typically. Has anyone, do they get to like 15, 16 inches occasionally? Gonna get hung up flirting this close to these bridge pilings though. Oh, there are fish that close. Maybe when the tide's ripping too hard, you can't get close enough to get in those strike zones sometimes. Had a bite like in that concrete basically. Twisting up so bad now. I guess it's picked up a little bit, right? Not much, fishing wise. Wind's definitely picked up. Got an error. Error for? Where am I getting this? Goofy error coming out of my pedal drive right now. So I can occasionally get this motor control error on these drives. Sometimes it just requires you to power it on and off. There's some kind of coupler that engages in the, I guess in the mechanism there. When you add the power assist, and occasionally it'll give you an error message. I don't know why it happens sometimes. It's something to do with the shifting of your manual pedals and the electric features in there. Oh man, that wind is picked up significantly right now. don't know where to fish tomorrow. I think tomorrow we'll get away from the bridge troll life finally. Should be nice, but after seeing the water that looks like this, it's like, I wouldn't say you're doomed, but you're definitely concerned about fishing the next few days when the weather settles back down finally. Maybe I'm not fishing everything right. Could be it. Highs and lows of the Florida Keys. Even the lows are pretty high though, I'm not gonna lie. Just chilling out here, enjoying the day. Working myself up about nothing, right? Fishing's kind of tricky compared to it was the other time. It's 75 degrees out. Middle of winter, getting a suntan. Yeah, life's real tough for ISV fishing. Sorry, you're not catching a bunch of keeper mangrove snappers wise. You got it real tough out here. Been watching at home. Yeah, I might not wet a line too much. I don't know. Where you live, do you do a lot of fishing in December? December is my favorite month sometimes. January is pretty good too. It depends. In North Carolina, what sucks is January and February do end up being really rainy months. Late January. Usually it starts somewhere mid to late January. You just start getting a lot of rain. And those rainier months are what I think will make it harder than anything for me. Is, when the fish are kind of lethargic, then they get real cloudy and chocolatey. That's when things get tough. And that usually happens somewhere in like midwinter. So we'll have a pretty good drum and trout and striper fishing opportunity in North Carolina in the winter. But after the rains, though, that seems to always be like kind of the beginning of the end. And that's not so much water temperature, in my opinion. Kind of similar to this, I guess, the cloudiness of it. The only one that's pretty good at adapting in pure chocolate milk is red drum. Even I feel like red drum are better than stripers at being chocolate milk fisheries. And that's kind of what sucks about winter fishing where I live. Just that rainwater comes down. Water's usually like 49, 50, somewhere around there. But it just we get so much rain some years. Nothing dries out. And one of the things I can't figure out where I live in that Wilmington area is really the blue cat fishery. And I've only had blue cat experience on the James River and a little bit on the Tennessee River with Justin Johnson, kayak catfish. And it's like, I mean, I can't figure out the blue catfish on the Cape Fear River. They just maybe aren't numerous enough. I don't know. Maybe I'm not fishing far up a river enough. It's such a tidal river that it's, catching a blue catfish there seems like at least a large blue catfish. I sometimes can find these 12-inch ones. I also can't find a gaff top sail cat in the Florida Keys apparently. But some people have told me they're here. I'm like, really? You have gaff tops? I haven't caught a gaff top here. So I'm like, oh, where do I got to go to catch one? Actually, that's one of the fish. Like, where do I need to make sure to avoid to not catch one? I really don't like those things that much. Supposedly they taste pretty much just like a regular catfish. I'm a huge fan of fried channel catfish though. I love fried catfish. I don't know about you, but it's one of those things that feels just really divisive, like tilapia. That one I don't like that much, but fried catfish, it's like, yeah, I love fried catfish. Tilapia, nah. I don't think, I haven't had tilapia enough that I could really say. I do think it's probably pretty decent if you know it, if you had enough flavoring to make it pick up its own decisiveness. I feel like it's one of those fish that's got a good texture, but it's very bland. And as we know, tilapia farming is questionable at best. I think still, you know, off the record, I mean on the record, but just talking nonsense about culinary fish, some of the most underrated fish out there. It's not what you'd expect. I think it's the ribbon fish or cutlass fish. When I ate that thing, I was like, whoa, this is a junk fish? Finally had a bite there. And I was like, dude, cutlass fish are amazing. Very underrated fish. What's a really overrated fish? That's one that can get people riled up sometimes. I think weak fish or gray trout are severely overrated. Speckled trout's good only in the colder months, in my opinion. I don't like speckled trout when the water's in the 60s and 70s. I think when that water gets a little bit lower, those speckled trout do get better. But if that water's warm, speckled trout, big thumbs down. All right, we gotta lay down some rods because we've been talking about all the food we like and my elitist taste buds. Yeah, speckled trout, it's gotta be cold. If it's warm, I don't like it. I think it's what happens with the texture of some of those fish. I think speckled trout's one of them that it just kind of doesn't do well in the warmer months. I think sheepshead's a little bit overrated. It's good, but it's not as good as some people make it out to be. That's the saltwater sheepshead, not the freshwater one. Oh my gosh. Sheepshead can be a little bit overrated. Striped bass is another one. Yeah, I think striped bass. Striped bass is one of those fish too, though. A lot of fish, it ends up being an environment you're catching them out of. You know, striper, red drum. Like, you get them in like more migration times of year, or when the water's colder and they've got a diet of crustaceans. They taste nothing like a striper that's been eating menhaden and pogies. So, important to keep that in mind too. All right, man, let's get this going. Tide's slowing down. Talking about food. Well, somebody come along out here. I'm waiting for you. Ooh. I think some grunts are coming out at least, starting to bite my tails. And I'll tell you what, you see this video, you don't ever want to come to fish this bridge. Like, that bridge sucks. And I think that's the thing with a lot of these bridges, man. Whatever conditions Mother Nature throws at you, that's going to be what's going to determine if you think it's a good one or not. Did get quite a few yellow jacks at least, you know, so if we're looking for fish for food, we definitely fed ourselves today. But in terms of working our way up the fish hierarchy, that has not happened today. All right, let's say we haven't gotten a tarpon hookup. No keeper snappers yet. No mangrove snappers, period, yet. My keepers. Here we go. Jack. It's fast. Oh, pulled him. Yeah, I think that was Jack though. Well, a few times Jack actually gave me a thump though. They're usually kind of mushy. Alright, next step. Let's go zoom fluking. A couple people sailing, windsurfing, all that stuff. Perfect day for that, probably. Not the best day to go kayak fishing though. Honestly, I probably would have stayed home today if I wasn't so pumped about how well this went the other, you know, other trip. This might be my last trip to this bridge. Period. For a little while. Maybe after I stop seeing that chocolatey water, I'll change my mind, but guess I got to do one more experiment with dirty water and Gulp together to see what kind of day you get with that combination, because I don't think it was this. I don't know, maybe it was. We got to rewatch it. There's the Procure and the Zoom Fluke. Come on, a bunch of fish under me here. There's a bunch of fish under me here. Looking forward to eating some ice cream on the porch later. We ain't cleaning fish today, it seems like. I mean, I really don't need fish for the table today. Been eating a lot of fish in the Florida Keys, though. I would say I've eaten fish probably 5 or 6 days a week. Let's see if I start feeling weird and having some memory loss. I don't think so. I mean, I'm eating the mangrove snappers, mutton snapper, and yellowjack. That's the 3 I've been eating. But, yeah. You know what it is, too? It's like, first of all, I don't want to eat. Eating out is a different story, right? Going to eat out at a restaurant. But, like, in terms of at-home meals, there's no reason I'm going to be buying chicken here and stuff like that, right? Catching my own fish. Like, there's only 2 things. I'm going out to eat, right? And then every meal at home that I'm prepping is fish-based. I'm sorry, I'm not... I ain't running to Publix to get a pound of chicken to do something with it. No, not here. It's also that, like, stuff's expensive out here. Like, At least getting the protein for the bottom price is definitely helps. So having that access. I haven't eaten anything too weird though. We haven't eaten a barracuda. We haven't eaten one of those houndfish yet too. I was wondering about those guys. If they're any good. They did have that smell though. When I grabbed that one at 7 Mile Perch, it had that smell like don't eat me. I smell worse, as bad as a barracuda. I think everything else I've given a try around here so far. I haven't eaten barracuda in a few years though. I do remember that being very underrated. There's something down there. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but it was definitely pretty good. I mean, man, this should be catching fish. It's a zoom fluke. You're telling me a zoom fluke won't catch as well as that gulp shrimp that looks like a cigarette on a hook? Like that gulp shrimp just literally looks like, it's not a fancy looking presentation, man. I refuse to fish a gulp. I'm just mad at that gulp shrimp because I'm doing so much worse on this stuff right here than I did with the gulp. My ego is so tarnished right now. Give me like two good sized snappers and I'll be like, all right, I'll blame it on the water quality or the tide. Like I'm almost there, you know? All right, I didn't quite do it quite as well, but you know what? I'm almost there. Right now I'm like, I'm about to sell the whole ISV fishing line of lure, everything. I'm about to sell everything and just gulp. All right, I'm just fishing gulp till the end of time. I mean, I'm using Procure too for now, and reapplying it every 4 or 5 casts. I wish I had a temperature gauge that was working. I'm guessing it's like 70, 68, 70, so it hasn't cooled off that much. At night it's been getting into the, the 60s, but I don't know, it's been pretty warm during the day, so I don't think that's really the end-all be-all. Shooey. Now marking fish pretty steady too. that fish on there, right? Yeah. It's not doing much. Jackrabbit catch is high today. Humbled. Humbled like I haven't been humbled before. I'm now packing Gulp everywhere in the queues, I think, after this. Everywhere where I'm just doing kind of whatever bites trip. You bet I'm bringing Gulp from here on out here. That's it. Seeing this, coming down some little bridges, little passes. Anytime I got a lot of wind and I'm just hoping for a bite, Gulp is coming with me here. That's it. Yeah, plenty of places probably it's not the best move. The patch reefs, where you're just gonna track 100 lane snappers and grunts. But on a day where I really just want to catch a bunch of fish, and it seems like I'm going to maximize who's going to bite, sign me up on the Gulp train, man. Maybe a metal lure would have done something different. That's the only other thing I could think of that might have been worth one little extra experiment, just to see how metal lures would have done today. Surprised we haven't picked up any grouper here. He just doesn't got enough like chunky structures off the bridge. They don't love living in those, you know, pilings all that much. I haven't hooked a grouper here yet, no. Eagle ray under the bridge here. Distracted me. This is what, like, I mean, wow. Nothing like how I'd expect this to fish. Yeah, the tide's slowing down a bunch now. I'm gonna put that Pro Cure. Keeps sliding under my seat there. It's pretty much turned, actually. gonna be a boring one, man. Don't come fishing without Gulp. A 4-inch, that's a jerk shad. That's an unreal experience for me, man. Now this is why you fish Gulp. I feel like this closes out a very fun triple unedited session of this bridge. I'm good. I can hang it up. Unless I could get my hands on a live well full of bait. That would be probably the last chapter. That would be pretty good to look at. Put that title, "This is why you fish live bait." I think you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that would be like the final piece of the puzzle. If you really watched all 3 of these unedited, you probably could see something pretty interesting, in my opinion. Wish I had Nate or one of these other guys just fishing Gulp, taking me to school, and I'm like, you know what it is? It's like some environments, it's like Gulp can be kind of, it attracts too much life, right? That's the down argument for it, right? Especially when you're trying to do something specific, like you're targeting the big fluke or summer flounder up north. Brings in sometimes too much porgies, blowfish. It can work against you occasionally. Like out here, when I've tried Gulp on the bigger bridges or out on the reefs and stuff, it's not selective enough. Does that make sense? Gulp is too much of an attractant, and that works against you occasionally. Over here, the bite is so off and so churned up from all the wind and stuff that not using that attractant is probably a mistake. That's what I feel like. So, first-hand cookery. Bring your attractants. Do not leave them at home. You'll regret it. All right, we got to be able to at least get one nice snapper out of today. Snook. Tarpon jump. Well, we did hook that eagle ray. Not my proudest moment. All right, there's not much life on this part of the bridge, man. I'm going to go back down to that chunk over there. Take it from there. Whew. Man. That's not working. This isn't catching many fish right now in the Keys. Is there any local ice cream brands you really recommend? I've had Key Lime Pie Lady. That's been the only one so far. I feel like today I'm going to just sit back and be like, hey man, I tried my best. I was so pumped to do this, revisit this for a 3rd finale. This is literally, like when you watch a movie, like a series of movies. This is literally, how the 3rd movie is always the worst. Like the first 2 Spider-Mans in the early 2000s, 3rd Spider-Man sucked. This is like the third Godfather of me trying to fish unedited on this bridge. This is Godfather Part 3 right now. It's the absolute worst one. Oh man, that's what this feels like out here. Oh, Star Wars, this is Part 3. Part 3 is the worst part here. I'm fired as a content creator, man. Just when you just say, yeah, kayak fishing sucks, just get a boat, man. It's stupid. I'm trying to figure out how to get these fish to bite. Drop down. Man, I'll take you, Key West Grunt, man. I'll take you. Fine by me, man. Sucked into this tube here. Oh man, I almost broke a rod. Gotta be careful. Right there. I think I got a couple grunts here. Feels like it. Ooh, yeah. Z-Man stuff's pretty good though. Occasionally those fish rip you down on the tails though. Seems like I'm having sometimes just getting the hook into a new spot. And the jerk shad's all you need, though. These guys have been floating around in my garage for a long time, though. Like the pass is definitely get affected the most by the wind, and then the other stuff probably gets clearer. Like some of the mangrove areas probably don't get too messed up. I think that's where we got to go tomorrow. Try somewhere in some mangroves. And the slack tide bite didn't happen. I'm gonna save y'all some time. If the change of tide doesn't really get a bite going, I'm gonna cut this one, cut my losses even. I don't know if we're quite there yet, but we're pretty close. Jack, stop biting. Not used to the jacks not biting. It's like anything, though. It can get funny. It all can get funny. There we go. Drop. It's the most I gotten hung up here too. Usually catching. Jig's not getting enough time usually to mess around down there. Those times we've gone fishing here. Today's the first time I think, yeah, it's really had that opportunity to get down in there and hang out. I think I saw a mackerel just jump. Godfather Part 3. That's what I'm going to tell myself today is. I'm settling for the small bites right now. That's all I know. It's got to be like grunts, something really small if I can't get the hook in them. Hard. Just waiting for that tide to turn. If we get one or two good bites when that tide turns, different story, but right now, don't feel like it. That's what happens when that water gets dirty out here. And you don't have Gulp. I mean, I'm not getting that many hit bites on these casts, even a couple. I mean, compared to what's on the sonar, like, even if it's just jacks, should be hopping into the kayak. I got a little wind knot that I just allowed to form on my watch. It's like mind-blowing. Oh, that's not good either. Let's try one last thing here. Got a crappie magnet on here, right? Let's see. If this doesn't catch anything. I don't get anything in 3 casts with a crappie magnet. We're packing it up. This should get something. Yeah, okay. It is a crappie magnet. This should catch fish far and more up wide. That's crazy. Oh, so that was my first mangrove of the day. So that's sailor's choice. Come on, man. There we go. The little hook should work its way out pretty easily. Maybe I got to fish with crappie magnets next time. One more video. Godfather Part 4 with crappie magnets. Sorry. Apparently the jerk shad's too aggressive. Need the crappie magnet edition. Maybe it is that. That could be down to just that profile size, 2-3 inches. It's really what you want for, like, you know, the silly stuff. A couple small bites there. I don't know. That could be the last piece of the puzzle that's really important is profile. How big? This place is bad for 4 and 5 inch profiles. Yeah, 2 and 3 inches is what you want. It's very possible. Jack's gonna crush me. If I hook a jack on this little crappie magnet, though, it's gonna get ugly. Dangling back there. You know, like those zoom flukes might cut through the water too aggressively for this area. That's possible too, man. What a bump or two. At least getting a couple bumps on this crappie magnet right now. Get the look down bite going with this thing though. Please don't be a jack. That's not a jack, thankfully. I don't know if we'll be able to handle a jack on this setup, especially one of size. At least the grunts started to bite. We moved up the hierarchy? I don't know. I think it was hung up there. It's an 1/8 ounce jig head. Super light. You catch some snappers with this on 7 Mile Bridge the other day. Check the video's description for links of what not to fish with. That's how my closing remark for this one. And even these crappie magnets aren't getting that many bites. Ooh. Zero stars. How many thumbs downs do you think you could leave me? This might be my most thumb down video ever. I won't be surprised. Like, you know, I look kind of lousy on that side right now. Oh, thank goodness. Boston. Casting right up on these pilings now. Maybe a pork fish is going to show himself. What we're settling for right now. Yeah, this might end up being my most thumbs downs video ever. It's funny is, you know, you try something different and you show it, right? And how unglorious it is. Well, we learned a little bit talked a little bit about me. A little bit more than usual about me. Personal side of me, right? I didn't catch a single mangrove snapper today. Not one. One short mutton. A few jacks. Not crazy on the jack side though. There's a bunch of grunts really close to the pilings though. I find that kind of wild. Come on, ultralight, get him. Get him. I think the fish are there. I don't think they leave when it gets like muddy like that. Maybe they do. I doubt it though. But I think they just, yeah, but they ain't doing it. They just ain't doing it. So both of us are not doing it. Surprised I'm not hooking too many of these jacks on this side, or the smaller ones. Valves. A couple more quick drops and we're out of here. Why is this piling got a couple of fish, but the other ones don't? I don't understand. I mean, you'll see what it is in a second. It's my man the grunt. So the white grunts in North Carolina do get pretty big. I mean, this is relatively speaking. Like, they'll get up to 16, 17 inches. These white grunts here don't seem to quite get as large. Maybe off the beach they do. I've never caught a large one out there. But in North Carolina, you go, you'll catch some 16-inch grunts 2 miles out sometimes. Well, I have. You know, those 2-3 pounders. Pretty aggressive fish out there too. Definitely like Gulp. Metal jigs. Stuff like that. Really like metal jigs actually. My recollection. There's like 100 grunts behind that piling right there, I think. Going grunt hunting. What happened there? Alright, let's try one last couple sets of piles and then we're done. Appreciate everyone for trying this with me. We tried it together in spirit. Definitely did. I did not. There is no lack of effort to this too. So, granted, I maybe couldn't have fished quite like it as easily as the last time I came out here, but I feel like the effort was there. Definitely do. Little bite there. A couple small bites at least. Let's go crappie fishing in the Keys, man. No, ain't nothing down there. want to bite, rather. I'm just clearing up a little bit with the outgoing, actually, of all things. Finally. Break them off? Did. You get sharked? Not too sure. Feels like he might have gotten sharked. It's a very abrupt end to his I don't know what happened there. That felt like there was like a real sudden heavy tug on that. I mean, this is really light line. That felt like a shark came and tapped him right there. I don't know why. Something felt unusual. Didn't feel like the typical pretty heavy. Could have been a shark, man. Finally, first fish I've had to do a mystery break off. So leaning towards shark on that. Okay. This guy on the boat's got a shark on. I think I got my jack. I don't like it one bit on this not extent bridge. Asking for trouble, I think. Little jacks are biting them. The wind's dropping out a little bit, maybe. Runs. Sometimes you just gotta go fishing. Made that's the other thing. What's it? It's a Godfather Part 3. Just made the Joker movie here. Thought you wanted to see more, then you realized you really didn't. Bite's pretty good down there. Not giving me any signs they're biting. I'm just pretty much on there. Try the jerk shad again. It's cute and all to catch them on the crappie magnet, but got a couple bites here. Small Goliath. It's a Goliath, yeah. I was talking about having caught one of those yet. Love them or hate them. Wasn't sure if that leader was going to hold up on the swing because, you know, they can get you on some structure. Oh, that's kind of cool. I think we got to retire this guy. Got torn up. The Goliath probably made some holes in it too. Four-inch jerk shad, different. Well, at least we got Goliath was kind of interesting to me. Getting a couple of those grunts, hitting that jig. It's pretty deep here though, 12 feet. Wind's definitely missed him. Wind has definitely made the other spans rip, and they're cranking because the wind is coming down the bay like that right now. So definitely an easy spot to hold for the next 10-20 minutes. There's a lot of grunts here though. Goliath group are protected, you can't eat them. I think there's a slot limit on them for a certain time of year though. But I wonder how they taste. I mean, they are a grouper, they gotta taste pretty good. I'm sure somebody Just keep eating a couple short ones out there. Or, sorry, closed. The size I caught, but they're like, oh, whatever, it's closed, I don't care. Not catching many jacks anymore. There are a ton of grunts on there.
That's it. Time to go. Almost time to go, rather. Water cleared up a little bit. Definitely did. Bunch of these grunts still hit. Man, I'm getting blown away, man. Two more casts, and I think we're done. Can't do much more here. Grunts are there. No more Goliaths. That was cool.
Made this 4-inch jerk shed. Kind of fun on 10 pounds nest. That platform is much bigger. I just realized that. Not like these are. Must have been a repair way back in the day. Feels like it's got a little more structure to it too. Turn the jack. Let's do like one quick pass in a couple spots here. With the return of the jack. It is. This car's ripping. Junk down there. Yeah, got my grunt. Oh, schoolmaster, snapper. Look how cool he looks. Schoolmaster, right? Yeah. First one we've caught. What a pretty fish. I've not caught schoolmasters. Yeah, bite's going. I don't know. Wouldn't say the word steady. Morning incoming tide sucked chunks. First half of this trip, there was like two types of jacks. Now we're seeing a little mixed stuff at least. Getting a little better towards the end then. At least the Goliath was a nice touch to have there. I mean, I guess I exaggerated that. I think the other trip with the Gulp shrimps really threw me off, man. Because what do we have? 4 or 5 nice mangroves that day. All the jacks. Similar today. I think we might have had a few more yellow jacks today. We rolled the tarpon. So yeah, there was definitely like a little bit extra excitement that might have been. This is probably closer to day 1 with the Gulp minnows, minus a couple of those mangroves now. I'm really surprised I'm not getting like the smaller mangroves today. So I think it's just a mood thing. Their mood rings telling them. So we're doing one last pass. Finish out the video through this, couple of these cuts. Microphone's still working. Yeah, everything's working. Take what you will from it. Still did okay. I think we just did exceptional the other time, and that kind of, I wouldn't say threw my mood off, it just kind of got me delusional. How's that sound? Thinking I'm going to have a day like that today. Who knows what might happen here in the bottom of the knife too. These are shallower pilings, so 6-7 feet. How big those schoolmasters get? Do they get as big as mangrove snapper? I've never really caught them. Are they not the schooling type, or are they really bait only? Yeah, I'm not too sure about that. Ton of grass is about to come through here though. Oh, drop. Got a fish on there. Few fish up on that structure right there. Feels like it. Just big enough to yank down the tail. It's one of those things where you need crazy glue too. Oh no. This is the worst stuff now that's coming out here. This is where it's going to get really hard. That wind is probably going to be non-stop grass coming out. Now I'm getting more towards the wind-blown side of this bridge. Like going down there is going to be pointless. Yeah, I'm going to start picking up a lot of junk now. Been blowing for a week, 2 weeks. Probably the jack's really backed off too. Yeah, there's a lot of grass coming out. We don't want that stuff, man. to the car is gonna suck. It's gonna really suck. Got it, but I'm not gonna have a good time doing it. See what level of suck I'm greeted with today. Short strikers. Get that grunt. Fool him. Grunt home. Miss a lot of fish with this. I wonder if they're all those grunts though. a lot of bites, man. Getting a lot of the grunt bites now. Done with that. Let's make a couple more casts. So, check the links video. Man, look at all the fish that are going through today. Everything's off today. But Godfather Part 3, Elias sounding out. Let me know if there's any other interesting ideas we could do before we're out of the Keys on a bridge like this. Live bait would be the best one too. See how that stacks up against all the other contenders we've done, but I'm ready to go. So, check the video's description. Hopefully I kept that entertaining enough, man. Looks like those longer videos do better than anything else I do these days, so I try my best. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Beautiful day at the Keys.